A spark. It's the first element in every love story. It begins quietly, almost innocently, before it grows into something powerful, something that seems unstoppable. For decades, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos embodied that spark. They were the couple that so many believed had it all: love, laughter, family, and a rare sense of togetherness that seemed to defy the odds of Hollywood. To the public, they were more than just a celebrity couple. They were proof that true love could thrive under the brightest of spotlights. But beneath the glimmering lights and the endless smiles, something else was happening, something quieter, more fragile, a story that very few saw coming. And now, after years of perseverance and shared dreams, Kelly Ripa has made a decision that has left fans across the country heartbroken and in disbelief. This is the real story behind one of Hollywood's most beloved marriages, a journey of passion, struggle, and ultimately rediscovery. Kelly and Mark's love story began in the mid-1990s, a time when both were still carving their paths in the entertainment world. Kelly, with her magnetic energy and undeniable charm, had become one of the standout stars on the soap opera All My Children. Mark, tall, confident, and effortlessly handsome, joined the show as her on-screen love interest. What began as scripted romance quickly blossomed into something far more real. Their chemistry didn't just light up television screens, it ignited something off-screen that neither of them could ignore. Within months, their relationship deepened, and in 1996, away from the cameras and the press, the two quietly eloped in Las Vegas. No lavish celebrity wedding, no red carpet, just two young souls choosing each other, believing that love alone could conquer everything. For years, it seemed that belief was true. Their marriage became the blueprint for enduring celebrity relationships. They built a family together, raising 3 beautiful children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin. They showed up at events hand in hand, traded playful jokes on television, and spoke often about the strength of their partnership. They laughed, they loved, and they grew together, or so it seemed. But behind every perfect image lies a reality that only the people living it truly understand. As Kelly's career skyrocketed, her life became a whirlwind of early mornings, rehearsals, and endless public appearances. She was not just a talk show host, she became a household name. Her charisma, wit, and humor made Live with Kelly and Ryan a success. Millions tuned in daily to watch her infectious energy fill their screens. Meanwhile, Mark continued his own acting career, from Riverdale to numerous other projects. He juggled roles, travel, and family life as best he could. To outsiders, they were still the golden couple. But the truth was, fame has a cost. It demands time, energy, and attention, 3 things every marriage needs in equal measure. As the years went on, small cracks began to show. The same lighthearted teasing that made fans laugh on TV sometimes hinted at deeper frustrations beneath the surface. Kelly would occasionally joke about Mark's jealousy or their fiery arguments. Fans thought it was harmless banter, but what looked like playful tension on air may have been echoes of something far more serious off-screen. Mark himself has admitted in past interviews that it wasn't always easy being married to such a strong and visible public figure. He felt the pressure, the comparisons, the sense of being overshadowed by Kelly's growing fame. On the other hand, Kelly spoke openly about the challenges of maintaining balance, of trying to keep a marriage intact while juggling motherhood, fame, and relentless public scrutiny. Through it all, they stayed united. They smiled for the cameras, posed for photos, and reassured fans that love conquers all. But sometimes even love has to evolve, or it breaks under its own weight. When Mark joined Kelly as her co-host on Live with Kelly and Mark, fans celebrated. It seemed like a beautiful full-circle moment. A husband and wife team sharing the screen, sharing their mornings with the nation. But behind the scenes, the dynamic wasn't as effortless as it looked. Working together every day brought both comfort and conflict. It magnified the issues they'd managed to keep private for years. the agreements, the differences in pace, and the emotional exhaustion that comes from blending marriage and work. Being together on camera meant they could no longer escape the tension by turning off the lights or going home. Their professional and personal lives had become one continuous performance, and the pressure only grew. The marriage that had weathered 2 decades of challenges was suddenly facing its hardest test yet. Eventually, Kelly reached a point of reflection, a moment of painful clarity. She realized that despite all their efforts, despite all the compromises, and the love that once seemed unshakable, something fundamental had changed. It wasn't about blame, it wasn't about betrayal, it was about growth, and the recognition that sometimes love alone isn't enough to hold 2 evolving souls together. So she made a choice, a heartbreaking, deeply personal choice, to take a step back, to put her emotional well-being first. There was no scandal, no shouting match, no public feud, just the quiet sadness of a woman who had given everything to her marriage and finally accepted that it was time to let go. When the news broke, fans were stunned. How could they, the couple who seemed to have it all, fall apart? If Kelly and Mark couldn't make it work, what hope was there for anyone? But as the truth slowly emerged, many began to understand that this wasn't about failure, it was about transformation.
Said Kelly had grown more introspective in recent years. She spent more time with her children, more time focusing on her own happiness, and less time trying to hold together something that no longer felt balanced. Mark, on his part, respected her decision, even if it broke his heart. He released a quiet statement expressing his sadness and gratitude, acknowledging that while their love story was changing, it would always be one of the most important parts of his life. He spoke of their years together not with anger, but with grace, and that alone said everything about the depth of their bond. Now, as Kelly and Mark embark on separate paths, one thing is certain. Their story isn't just one of love lost, it's one of courage. It's easy to celebrate love when it's new and exciting, but it takes immense strength to accept when it has run its course, to walk away not out of resentment, but out of self-respect and the desire for peace. Kelly Ripa's decision reminds us all that relationships, no matter how perfect they seem from the outside, are built on constant effort, communication, and change. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is acknowledge when it's time to start a new chapter. Theirs was never a failed love story, it was a complete one. It had a beginning filled with passion, a middle marked by resilience, and an ending defined by understanding. Today, Kelly continues to shine in her career, showing the world what it means to move forward with grace and strength. Mark remains a devoted father, focusing on his work and family, and though they may no longer stand side by side as partners, they remain bound by a shared history, by memories that shape their lives, and by the deep respect they still hold for each other. Their journey is a reflection of something deeply human, that even when love changes form, it doesn't have to disappear. Sometimes it simply evolves into something else, something quieter, wiser, and just as meaningful. So as fans, maybe we shouldn't mourn what's been lost, but appreciate what was built. The laughter, the partnership, and the decades of memories that touched so many. Because in the end, Kelly and Mark's story isn't just about 2 celebrities in love, it's about growth, forgiveness, and the courage to choose oneself when the time comes. And maybe that's the real love story here, not one that ends with forever, but one that honors truth, transformation, and the unshakable strength of the human heart. So if this story moved you, take a moment to reflect on what love truly means, not just in its fairy tale moments, but in its raw, imperfect truth. Because sometimes the most beautiful endings are the ones that give us a chance to begin again.